The Big Three is a title that I think many of you have probably heard once or twice in your lifetime, and if you were a big fan of One Piece, Bleach, or Naruto, you probably heard it almost on a weekly basis, because when the chapters would come out years ago together, you would always hear people talk about the Big Three. But now, ever since Naruto and Bleach have come to an end, you don't really hear that term anymore. People have made discussions about it, like, will we ever have another Big Three, or is the Big Three dead? But overall, in terms of discussing the Big Three, it's been gone for a very long time. I'm here left wondering, will there ever be another Big Three? Will there ever be something that could potentially fill the shoes that Naruto and Bleach left behind? One Piece is still left standing. It's such an iconic series that Oda-sensei has made, and honestly, when you really think about it, it might not ever be surpassed, at least the popularity of One Piece. I mean, it's the most best-selling manga of all time, but even then, though, I feel like One Piece nowadays is more along the lines of like a living legend. It's something that kind of is a part of the Hall of Legends like Dragon Ball is nowadays, or Death Note, but will there ever be something that could potentially get everybody hyped every single week, that could, garner as much discussion as those three series once did? Personally, I don't know. I don't know if their shoes can ever be filled, but there is a possibility that one day there could be series that rise up and potentially surpass their popularity and become something that we never envisioned, something that just blew our expectations away. And so, in this video, I kind of want to talk about what's next, but also what could potentially be the next Big Three of manga, and maybe even anime as well. All mangaka, I think, want to reach the status of becoming the number one, want to be the best manga author there is. And I think one of the big reasons to why the Big Three was so big at the time, and why so many talked about it, was because when you think about Kishimoto, the author of Naruto, the Tite Kubo of Bleach, and Oda-sensei of One Piece, they were lifelong rivals. They were always making chapters side by side every single week in Weekly Shonen Jump, and they were constantly competing for who's on top, who is the best author. And because of that, I think it sparked a lot of creativity, rivalry, and it just made it to where their passion for their series grew exponentially. And I think that's kind of what has been missing these past few years, is that there hasn't really been a spark of rivalry like there was in the past. Three big series that are gigantic or gain a lot of popularity that are now competing for the spotlight. And if you know from earlier this past week, I actually made a video talking about Oda-sensei's conversation with Horikoshi-sensei, the author of My Hero Academia. And within this conversation, it's basically Horikoshi saying he wants to surpass One Piece. Now, many might be quick to laugh at him, say he's never going to be able to do it. Surpassing something like One Piece is impossible, and many would laugh at Horikoshi for having that dream. But honestly, let the man dream. Let the man have his passion, what he strives to be, because you know what Horikoshi's passion for wanting to surpass One Piece will cause? Him to expand upon his series and make it 1,000 times better than it ever can be. Because you want to know what breeds better series? Competition. Something that fuels you to have a rivalry with an individual. That's why businesses constantly competing with each other is very important. They're constantly competing to, one-up each other, to improve themselves, to see who is better, and that's what it comes down to. That's very similar to what mangakas have to do when it comes to them writing weekly chapters. So Horikoshi saying that, honestly, is a really good indicator that he could be around for a very long time. Many, many years to come, which, honestly, I hope that really is the case. But let's talk about the three series I think that could potentially be a part of the next Big Three, the new era, the next Big Three. And I think personally it is My Hero Academia, Dr. Stone, and The Promised Neverland. These three iconic series, these series that honestly I think many of you are going to recognize, has gained an insane amount of popularity in recent years. Now, obviously, out of these three individual series, there is one series that obviously stands out, and I think many of you, if you've been a member of my channel for a while, you've watched my content, you'll know which series that is. That is My Hero Academia, and it's for good reason to why it's probably the most standout series amongst these three. And the reason for that is because My Hero Academia has a few years on these two individual series. Because when you think about My Hero Academia has been almost around for 4 years now. That's quite a long time. And when you think about, The Promised Neverland and Dr. Stone, they've only been around for, about a year or so. A little bit over a year. It really hasn't been that long since these two series have started to come out. Which is kind of crazy to think about because they've already gained such a vast amount of popularity to where even The Promised Neverland now is eventually going to be getting an anime series next anime season, which I'm really looking forward to. But let's get into these individually and discuss what makes these stand out and why I think they could potentially be a part of the next big three to start and open up a new era for shonen manga. So to begin, let's talk about My Hero Academia. As we all know, it's an iconic series already. It's honestly kind of the poster child for weekly shonen manga besides One Piece, because if you don't recognize One Piece, you're going to recognize this. People that are even not a fan of manga and anime recognize My Hero Academia. It's honestly very similar to how there's non-fans of anime and manga that recognize Attack on Titan, Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, or recognize One Punch Man. Those series I just mentioned were always recognized even if you weren't an anime or manga fan. I know quite a few people, actually, in real life that don't watch anime, don't read manga, but know Attack on Titan, Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, and One Punch Man, which shows how vast their popularity is, how it's reached out there, even amongst people that are not a fan of the type of genre of literature. And in this case, My Hero Academia has started to enter that doorway. It started to enter that doorway of where non-anime and manga fans are starting to recognize it, which leads to all sorts of new issues that it's going to have to face in terms of, people wanting to hate it for the sake of hating it, or calling it overrated, or just saying, oh, it shouldn't, deserve all the hype. But that's problems that eventually all series have to tackle if it reaches a certain height of popularity. But this is necessarily a good thing. It lets us know that My Hero Academia, at the very least, has reached a point in its popularity to where it is recognized, at the very least, on a worldwide scale. I mean, it's gotten a great anime as well that's honestly boosted its popularity. Let's backtrack and think about that for a second. When My Hero Academia first arrived, the author Horikoshi Sensei wasn't really recognized at all. He was kind of like a no-name artist. Now, there was probably a few that knew about him because of his previous two series that he wrote in the past that failed and were axed in Weekly Shonen Jump, but overall, he was kind of like a no-name that nobody really recognized or really paid that much attention to, because at the time, many were looking at Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece. They were never really focusing on, Horikoshi and what he was writing. And at the time, it made it to where a lot of manga, it was really hard to get started because they were having to compete with such colossal giants as those three series. And, there was some series that were able to kind of stick out amongst the crowd, like, Tortico or Food Wars that still stand, or, at least Food Wars still stands to this day. There was some manga at the time that stood out, but Horikoshi, or many authors, not just Horikoshi, had to compete with these giants that already had so many spots dedicated to them that, they didn't really know what to do. But Horikoshi tried. He tried 3 times. And to give a little bit of a brief backstory, which I discussed in another video a while ago, is that Horikoshi, he wrote 2 series, and like I said, they failed. And eventually he wound up doing My Hero Academia. And if you didn't know a little brief history, a little tidbit fact for you, Horikoshi was going to give up on writing manga if this series didn't do well. He was going to give up, wipe his hands, because he probably wasn't, made to do manga. When his first 2 series failed, the 3rd series is basically like your last chance. The last chance you had to be able to write for Weekly Shonen Jump. And so if this series would have failed, he would never really probably continue to write manga, which it shows how much this series has affected him, changed him as a person, given him so many opportunities to even talk to his, idol, which is Oda Sensei himself, that, I covered less than a week ago. So, My Hero Academia, it had a very humble beginning, and it's a lot of things that factor into why it's become so popular, and why I think it could be potentially a part of the next big 3. Number one reason is because it came out at a time to where we really needed something new, something to fill in a hole that was left once Naruto ended. FYI, when Naruto came to an end, My Hero Academia quickly came out pretty much around that same time, which in turn, people that were a fan of Naruto jumped ship and joined the My Hero Academia ship, because there was a few similarities to My Hero Academia from Naruto. Now, it's not the same, it's not a carbon copy, there's a lot of differences with this series and Naruto, but at the time, there was some similarities, and people that were a fan of Naruto could jump on board for My Hero Academia. And I think it was probably the best time for Horikoshi to release My Hero Academia was when Naruto came to an end. Definitely a perfect time, because then he gained that fan base, and people started reading his content, because they were seeking something new, something to jump on board with and grasp. And then, once the manga was already becoming very popular thanks to the new influx of fans, the anime came out by Studio Bones. And Studio Bones' release of the anime and the entire production team did a fantastic job. Honestly, it's one of the best anime series I've seen in recent years. And I've talked about this extensively in many episode reviews I have done. And honestly, it's par with, what Madhouse Studios did when it came to Hunter x Hunter 2011. And so, thanks to the popularity of the anime and My Hero Academia and how good of a job Studio Bones did, is what I think also increased the popularity of the manga, which in turn has garnered so much praise and attention, and why now it's even recognized mainstream, and people that are not anime fans or manga fans now recognize it. So, I think for the time being, My Hero Academia has a very long time to shine, and it's definitely going to be around for a good while. Moving into the next series, let's talk about Dr. Stone. Now this, like Promised Neverland, it's a very new series. It's very recent, but at the same time, it has proven itself that it's not going to go down without a fight. It wants to compete in this new era of shonen manga, and it wants to be something brand new, something that you really don't see often in weekly shonen manga. And that is the originality of the story, the characters, the artwork. It's just outright beautiful. Now, to kind of give a brief history lesson on Dr. Stone, or, the author and artist, yes, there's two individuals that work on Dr. Stone. Someone that does the story, and someone that does the art. The story writer of Dr. Stone is the same individual that made Eyeshield 21. You might recognize that series. It's honestly a very popular series, and I think if you know about how good Eyeshield 21 is, then you're going to know that the story of this is probably going to be very good. Dr. Stone has a really good future ahead of it. But it doesn't just stop there. There's a lot more than that. The artist of Dr. Stone is someone that you might not know, but if you're someone that loves to look into obscure manga, or if you love seinen, then you're going to recognize this individual, or at the very least the series name. Boichi is the artist of Dr. Stone. Now, you might not recognize the name, but the artist worked on the manga Sun Can Rock. It is a series I personally have reviewed in the past on this channel, and honestly, in terms of art, it's probably one of the best depictions of art I've ever seen in manga. It's up there with Vagabond and Berserk. It's honestly impressive how good Boichi's art is for Sun Can Rock, but also what I've seen from Dr. Stone. I've actually read through this entire volume of Dr. Stone, and I do plan on doing a review of it very soon. You guys can look forward to that. So like I said, you can expect some beautiful panels, beautiful artwork, along with the story writer of Eyeshield 21. This honestly has so much potential to be one of the greatest manga series in recent years, and probably to be once again a part of the next big three. I think Dr. Stone has a really good, healthy future in front of it, and I mean, right now, it's already extremely popular. I mean, I've constantly seen so many people telling me to get back on the horse and start reviewing the chapters weekly that come out every single week, and I have heavily debated doing that, and I think I want to start back up and doing it just because of how much attention this series seems to get, and how many continuously recommend me to read Dr. Stone. And I think when this series gets an anime, because let's be real here, it one day will get an anime, that's when the popularity of this series is going to skyrocket, and I think that's when it might be a part of, the next generation of shonen, like My Hero Academia. So, I'm looking forward to seeing where Dr. Stone goes. It's honestly just such a unique story, which, let's get into that real quick. If this is your first time ever hearing about Dr. Stone, let me give you a brief summary of kind of what the first chapter is about. So, the entire world, it's just set in modern day time, okay? But then, all of a sudden, something happens, some form of explosion or whatever happens, and everybody, all human life, is turned to stone. Every single individual on the planet is turned to stone, which is why the title of the series is called Dr. Stone. but everybody's turned to stone, completely fossilized. And the individuals that turn to stone, they have their consciousness there, they're thinking, but then it slowly fades. They fall asleep while being completely turned to stone. While two individuals, our two main characters, were able to fight back against the fading darkness to where they were about to go unconscious thanks to being turned to stone. And after thousands of years of fighting back against it, they finally broke out of the stone statue that they were in, and they're now awoken into a new world. This world to which is where humanity is no longer around. Civilization no longer exists. The world has been retaken by nature itself, and now our two main characters are tasked with, bringing humanity back to life, but also starting civilization. It's a very unique starting point for a manga, and has so much potential because, you don't really know what caused everybody to turn to stone. You don't know if it was because of aliens, you don't know if it was some form of supernatural spirits or something that you'd see in shonen, you don't know if it was just some form of experiment gone wrong with science. You really have no idea. I have my own personal theories, which I'll get into when I do a volume review of this series, but overall, though, I have to say that Dr. Stone, unique, original, it definitely breaks the mold of what we see from shonen, and I'm looking forward to seeing when it finally gets an anime how well it does. Let's talk about The Promised Neverland. Now, this series I've reviewed as well, and it's a series that I do want to pick back up on. I have been reading it weekly, just not been doing chapter reviews, but it is a series that I really, really love. Similar to how I felt about Dr. Stone and how original and unique it is, The Promised Neverland is also one of those series that is extremely unique for weekly shonen manga, and if there's one series I had to compare it to in terms of the feelings it gives me, it's Death Note. Now, regardless of how you feel about the second half of Death Note, I know that's a very controversial topic, you have to admit at the very least, Death Note is an amazing series in terms of making you think, constantly keeping you on your toes with tension. It was just an amazing series for its time, so different from the battle shonen that was coming out at the time, like One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach. And The Promised Neverland kind of rekindles that fire. Like, if you like the tension to just characters trying to outwit each other, thinking about what they need to do next with multi-layers of plans, that is what The Promised Neverland is about. Now, to give a brief little description or history lesson also on The Promised Neverland, we have two individuals that are working on the series. Very similar to Dr. Stone, how there's an artist and story writer. It's very similar to how The Promised Neverland is being done, too. The artwork of this series is being done by Demizu. Now, the story writer of The Promised Neverland is Shudai. Now, honestly, the pedigree of The Promised Neverland, it's not really as extensive as something like, Dr. Stone, or even My Hero Academia with its humble origins. But even then, though, these individuals that are working on this, or the story writer, Shudai, of The Promised Neverland, obviously knows how to write a hell of a good story. You can see that this individual has put a lot of time and effort and passion into writing out the series and figuring out where the story is wanting to go. And the author even came out and admitted that, they know where they want to take the story. They know where the story is going to lead. They've had it written out for a very long time, which is really good news, because, when you get into a series and you don't like it to where an author just makes things up on the go, and they don't really think about the future or how certain things might have consequences or other things in the future, well, that's probably not going to be the case with The Promised Neverland. The author and artist, they know where they want to take The Promised Neverland, which means that this series is in very good hands. And I'm looking forward to Shudai's work and seeing how The Promised Land continues to turn out to be a phenomenal series and one of the best, suspense manga I've seen in a very long time. Now, the artist, also very similar to Shudai, the artist Demizu, is someone that is not really known that well. Honestly, someone that's a brand new artist that you don't recognize, which is a good thing, because it's fresh blood in weekly shonen manga, and we need something like that. We don't just need the old folk that, have been around for a very long time, constantly making manga. We need new blood, new series that, are reinventing what shonen is really about, and I think that is why I think The Promised Neverland is doing so well. It is something that, once again, is trying to be very different from what we once seen, or what we always were used to while the original big three were out: Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece. And I think that's the reason why these series are just doing so well. But one last thing to get into before I end my little segment on The Promised Neverland, there is an anime coming out for this next season. And depending on how the anime goes, will determine if the Promised Neverland truly does become a part of the big three. Because right now, it already has insane popularity. It's a very popular series, one of the most popular series in weekly shonen manga. It's constantly competing for the top near One Piece and My Hero Academia. Dr. Stone included is also doing the exact same thing, but this also has a lot of, a healthy future ahead of it, but it really also depends on how the anime does as well, because if the anime does a very good job, that means the popularity of the Promised Neverland is going to go through the roof, and we're going to see a new age of shonen. So yeah, going over these three series, we have one series that tries to fit in with the old mold of shonen, while trying to do something a little bit new, trying to take inspiration from comic books. We have another series that tries to be completely different, something you just do not see at all, especially with the setting to the art and all of that, something that just breaks the standard for a weekly manga in terms of just art quality. And then we have the Promised Neverland that brings back the suspense and tension of the Death Note era. So I think in terms of what three series could potentially be the next big three, it is these. And so yeah, I'm excited. I'm pretty excited to see what happens in the future with these series, if they'll continue to remain popular, or if something will, come out and arise to replace them. Who really knows? But it's a very fascinating and interesting future for Weekly Shonen Jump. Now, before I end this video, I just want to offer a huge word of thanks to Viz Media for just, sending me the Dr. Stone manga volume, allowing me to be able to read it, and also sending in a few extra things, like, Demon Slayer to, Black Torch, and even Juni Taisen, which I reviewed the anime as well. I just want to offer a sincere word of thanks for, Viz Media, the entire team at Viz Media, just allowing me to be able to do a video like this, talk about things I love, and honestly, series I actually care about, because I think all of you by now know how much I care about these three individual series, Promised Neverland, My Hero Academia, and even Dr. Stone that I reviewed in the past as well. I love these three series, and I'm just so thankful Viz Media has given me this chance to be able to do this, so thank you so much, Viz. Thank you so much, the entire team, and I love working with you guys. You're amazing, and thank you so much for sending me these three volumes to read as well. To be honest with you, out of these three, I'm probably either going to start Black Torch or Demon Slayer, because I've heard a lot of good things about Demon Slayer, and, I'm going to actually, might make a poll when this video is released. I might make a poll for you guys to ask which series would you like me to review. Would you want me to review Demon Slayer, Black Torch, or Juni Taisen? I'll review one of these three series. I'll put up a poll, let you guys vote for it. I have a feeling I know which series is going to win. I'm not going to say it, but I have a feeling I know which one will win. But once again, thank you, Viz, for this. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be able to just, appreciate my passion for anime and just make a video and all that to just spread the word of, manga itself. But okay, one last thing I do want to say, if you do want to pick up, these type of manga volumes, like if you want to pick up Juni Taisen, Black Torch, Demon Slayer, Promised Neverland, My Hero Academia, or even Dr. Stone, I recommend going to Viz Media site, which I'll have linked in the description, and you can purchase these volumes yourself. Now, at this moment, Dr. Stone, it's not currently released yet. It will be out very soon. At the time this video coming out, maybe it's released. I got an early edition of Dr. Stone, and so you might have to pre-order when this video comes out. I really recommend it. They're cool guys, and honestly, you're just supporting the manga industry, and also the money that you support for these manga do go back to the manga offers as well. So all in all, you're just helping out your favorite creators or writers for manga. And so with that, I want to end this video here. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. If you appreciate my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.